Today I'm reacting to your Monday Night Raw Hot Takes. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether they're good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to have your hot takes featured in next week's episode of Hot Takes, make sure that you follow me on X because I ask for your hot take after every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and every WWE Premium Live event. Which means, yes, we will be doing an episode immediately after Crown Jewel, so make sure that you're following. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I am fully confident that you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And if you're looking for my review of Monday Night Raw, it's already up and available on the Patreon over at patreon.com/SantiZap. Just remember that over there you get the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, 5 weekly match watch-alongs, the Undertaker WrestleMania watch-alongs, the Royal Rumble watch-alongs, as well as the podcast 3 days early. So there's a lot of extra content over there. I'll put the link in the description or the link in the pinned comment. All right, let's say the thing. Let's read your stupid shit. This story is already cooking. It's that time of the year, fellas, the time of the year where the Bloodline becomes the focal point of WWE storytelling, and it's showing because not only is it the focal point of Friday Night SmackDown storylines, but it's now the focal point of Monday Night Raw as well. So what we're getting here is a story that is rewarding the hardcore wrestling fan that is putting in time and effort to watch both Raw and SmackDown. And I think that it's a brilliant decision to incorporate Sami Zayn already into this storyline because Sami Zayn plays a really unique character. He is a guy that is invested in what happens with all of these guys while at the same time not properly being family. He has seen what Roman Reigns is like, and he has seen what people under Roman Reigns become. And yes, Jey Uso is saying that Solo Sikoa is worse, but Sami Zayn kind of made some absolutely fantastic points by telling Jey that you've become your own man, that you don't actually need to choose between the lesser of two evils because they're both evil. And when I look at it from that perspective, Sami Zayn is kind of right. And I know that he's right. The thing is that he isn't family, and because he isn't family, he doesn't hold this position of authority to help people like Jey and Jimmy Uso see the fact that he's right. And that's the thing about family. It forces people to make irrational decisions because at the end of the day, family is the most important thing that there is. Blood is thicker than water. So it doesn't matter how much sense Sami Zayn talks to people, it's just not going to work. It's still going to lead down the path of civil war. So it's just interesting to wonder in this path where it's inevitable war, where does Sami lie? Because does Sami really team up with Roman Reigns, a guy that absolutely demolished Sami? Don't forget that Sami was kind of the first domino that fell in the destruction of the Bloodline when he hit Roman in the back with a steel chair. And the fact that he's not family, if I'm Roman Reigns, I have no love whatsoever for Sami Zayn. And if I'm Sami Zayn, I got no love for Roman Reigns. So it puts Sami Zayn in a really fascinating spot where I know that a lot of people think that it wouldn't make sense for him to align with Solo Sikoa, but does that really make any less sense than him aligning with Roman Reigns? It doesn't. That's why it's such a fascinating tale that they're telling right now, and the incorporation of Sami Zayn really adds so many wild wrinkles as to where this storyline could go. I did not expect this twist. Sami talking to Solo? Wow. I'm sure that we'll see Sami a part of this as the honorary Uso later on, but this adds a whole new wrinkle to the story. I love how the WWE is using both Raw and SmackDown to further this Bloodline story heading into War Games. So I actually think that they kind of have to use both SmackDown and Raw to develop this story just kind of by default as to where people are on the roster, with Sami Zayn and Jey Uso being over on Raw, and of course the rest of the Bloodline saga playing out on SmackDown. But I also think that the Bloodline story is just so big at this point that they need every single minute that they could possibly get. And if they do what they did in previous years where the Bloodline would take up an entire hour of Friday Night Night SmackDown, then it could really damage the rest of storytelling. And I feel like the Bloodline could have gotten away with taking that much time on a single show back when Roman was the champion and the championship was part of the story, but now we have other major stories playing out on SmackDown, like the Cody Rhodes saga alongside Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, that you can't just have the Bloodline hog the entire storyline, which I think is the reason why they're spreading this story across multiple shows. I am very curious as to what Solo Sikoa could have possibly been saying to Sami Zayn. Maybe it was Sami trying to play mediator with Solo Sikoa. All I know is that Sami Zayn is going to be incorporated in some way, shape, or form, and I'm very curious if we're going to end up getting a Cobra Kai-like heel turn with Sami Zayn appearing on Solo Sikoa's side. Because again, if there's somebody that has a justifiable reason to, and again, let me be clear about this, hate Roman Reigns, it is Sami Zayn. Let's not forget that Kevin Owens has turned on all his friends because Cody Rhodes aligned with Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn kind of falls in that ecosystem as well. He's just not as hot-headed as Kevin Owens, but he has all of the same justifications as Kevin Owens. All I know is, fellas, we are in quite the cinematic era right now of WWE, and I cannot wait how this develops into War Games. Where the fuck was Bro at? So yeah, a week after winning the Intercontinental Championship, there was 0 screen time for the Intercontinental Champion. And I get it, this happens, this is a symptom of a 2-hour Raw. However, I need to point something out, because Raw didn't get started for the first 10 minutes. Raw started, and then it was, I counted them, 6 minutes of recaps plus a 4-minute Jey Uso entrance. It wasn't until 10 minutes after Raw started that Jey Uso even uttered a word. That is a complete waste of time, in my opinion. That's time that you could have used to actually have Rhea Ripley on the show instead of having just a pre-taped vignette. Time to have Braun Breaker. And when you have a 2-hour show with this big a roster, I just don't think that you can be this fast and loose with time and just throw away 10 minutes that are desperately needed for storylines and for giving people screen time. The triple threat tag match was clearly the match of the night. It had great in-ring work, kick-started a feud between Gable and Ray, displays Woods' excellent character work, and finally, the right team won. The show should have ended with this match. Yeah, in terms of match quality, this was definitely the best match, and it did feel a little bit weird to end with Dominik Mysterio versus Damian Priest. That just didn't feel like a main event for a Monday Night Raw that's the go home to a major PLE. Now, I'm not saying that this should have main evented. I'm just saying that it feels like WWE didn't really have much to main event with as they go towards Saudi Arabia. But I feel like you're right. They made the right choice in having the War Raiders win, because the LWO, even in this loss, they have a major storyline that's continuing to develop with American Made. And of course, you've got the New Day in that story that's developing internally between Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston that played out even after Monday Night Raw ended. So remember when I was talking about those 10 minutes that they wasted? Well, they ended up having 10 minutes worth of additional story beats developed on social media. You could have just used those 10 minutes you wasted on a super long Jey Uso entrance and Bloodline saga recaps. The match was great, and more than anything, I feel like this can be a good reset to the Raw tag team division. Let's just get War Raiders to win these tag titles, and let's just get those tag titles right back to the tag team division, because that triple threat and the number in the matches leading up to that triple threat quickly reminded us that even though the Raw tag team division has been on ice, it's got talent. The talent just needs to be used. And to justify using those talents, I feel like having titles in there is a perfect catalyst for that. Gable versus Rey Mysterio next week. You know, this is one of my favorite matches of all time, Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio at SummerSlam 2002. This is actually the match that I tell people that are interested in becoming wrestling fans that they should watch, because it's an 8-minute match that is incredibly fast-paced, that mixes two wrestling styles of super high-flying lucha libre alongside the technical work of Kurt Angle. And this is a prime Kurt and a prime Rey Mysterio. This is one of my favorite matches of all time. But yeah, absolutely. Gable and Rey Mysterio are going to absolutely cook. I don't know that it's going to be as good as this, because this is one of my favorite matches of all time. But I cannot wait for the mixing styles of those two, because I just think that they're going to work magic. Honestly, it feels like the NXT women's division is miles ahead of Raw. I can't tell if it's because of the vacuum of focus of Rhea and Liv and Raquel, or if there isn't a secondary women's title, but something needs to change before WrestleMania season. season. So it feels a little bit unfair for you to compare the Raw Women's Division to the NXT Women's Division, because the NXT Women's Division isn't just better than the Raw Women's Division, it's the best women's division on the planet. So like, it's a bit of an unfair comparison, all right? But there is an inherent problem with the Raw Women's Division, and you actually kind of hit it on the head here. It is the fact that the women's world title is in a vacuum. It is in a storyline that is only encapsulated by the two women that are in it, which is Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. You could argue that Raquel is kind of an auxiliary part of that, but it's really Liv and Rhea Ripley. That's it, which kind of leaves the rest of the women on Monday Night Raw kind of on ice with nothing to really strive for, because there isn't a women's midcard. If there was a women's midcard, then the matches like the one that we had between Zelina Vega and Ivy Nile could be a bit more meaningful, as opposed to just feeling like matches for the sake of having matches. That being said, right now, the women's midcard is the women's tag team division. Look at the talent that's in that. It's actually insane. The problem is that it's not featured regularly on every show. It's actually just sort of rotating across NXT, SmackDown, and Monday Night Raw. But that really is the women's midcard at the moment. I still believe firmly that there is lots of room for a women's midcard across both Raw and SmackDown. And if there was that midcard, then the matches that are happening outside of the Women's World Championship picture can have a bit more substance and meaning. Oh, my God. The last 4 hours, folks. Oh, beautiful. Oh, my goodness. That, folks, was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club, available exclusively over on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week, we're looking at the champion versus champion match between Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan at Survivor Series 2018. The absolutely gruesomely bloody Eddie Guerrero versus JBL from Judgment Day 2004. I'm warning you on that one. It's really bloody. Motor City Machine Guns versus Beer Money in TNA, match 5 of their best of 5 series. A certified classic between Io and Kyrie in Stardom back in 2016. It's fantastic. And the legendary street fight between Mick Foley and Triple H at Royal Rumble 2000. We're also still doing our Royal Rumble watch-alongs leading up until Royal Rumble 2025, and now we're going to be starting the Undertaker streak watch-along leading into WrestleMania 41. You're also going to get the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days earlier, and more. So consider checking it out. Unfortunately, this is content that we just cannot show on YouTube. It's just impossible to do. That's patreon.com/SantiZap. The link is in the description for you, as well as the link in the pinned comment. Go check it out. If you're already on the Patreon, thank you so much for supporting my journey as a content creator. It does mean a lot, but let's get back to the video. Is it just me, or are Gunther's promos one of the highlights of the night? He's improved so much on the mic. Nope, it's not just you. Gunther has just become a fantastic all-around WWE superstar. No longer is he just the guy that could put on a great match. He's the guy that could put on a great match and cut a great promo and tell a great story in the process. In my opinion, he's kind of out-dueling Cody Rhodes in this lead up to Crown Jewel. And I don't think it's because Cody Rhodes is any worse than Gunther on the mic. I think that Cody Rhodes is just technically better on the mic. It's just that Gunther is focusing on the wrestling aspect of the feud. Meanwhile, Cody Rhodes is being unfortunately used as the PR machine to try and get over this dumbass Crown Jewel Championship. So Gunther has been looking like $1 million when you put him next to Cody Rhodes in the build up to this. Please end the Liv and Rhea feud. Rhea has been beaten multiple times, and it's time for Liv to face someone new. Giving Rhea another shot wouldn't make any sense. I don't think that we're watching the same show. The last 2 times that Rhea Ripley has faced against Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley has won. Bash in Berlin, Rhea won. Pinning Liv. At Bad Blood, Rhea won. Disqualification. I feel like we're in a very justified position to give Rhea Ripley another chance. If you're just bored of the feud, that's a different story, but I just don't think that you can justify ending the feud based on the results, because the results that you're referencing are just wrong. If you're just bored of it, just say that. The Miz deserves an award for making Carrying and Company interesting. This is the perfect feud to put the Final Testament in. The feud with The Miz, the feud with the Wyatt Six, all of it, the way that it just sort of moves around like a carousel, all of the moving pieces and all of the different people in this storyline are just sort of perfect with one another. I will say, I kind of like that they have The Miz playing the scared guy, while also just having Karrion in the group just like ready, willing to fight the Wyatt Six at any moment. So it creates a fun little dynamic between Scaredy Cat Miz, who's trying to find help from anywhere that he can, and badass Karrion Kross and company, who just want to go to war and are ready to fight the Wyatt Six. It's been fun, I will admit. Haven't felt this let down about a wrestling show in a long time. The Wyatts are literally why I watch right now. I'm disappointed because they had 2 separate segments and no payoff on television. Okay, I'm going to try and echo what you're saying here. I'm also disappointed with how they're using the Wyatt Six, mostly because they've barely used them in October. They should have been a major focal point in the spooky month of Halloween. They should have appeared at Halloween Havoc, even if it was just for a quick, fan service appearance. They should have attacked Ridge Holland. It would have made sense in terms of like the type of people that they attack at Halloween Havoc. We should have been featuring the Wyatt Six and their spookiness on a week-by-week basis in this spooky month. We did not get enough Wyatt Six in October, and that is a crime. This Seth and Bronson Reed feud is really cooking, and the match at Crown Jewel could be spectacular if it goes ahead. It does make me nervous what you said there at the end. If it goes ahead. I was starting to get nervous with the fact that Crown Jewel now has 7 matches officially, which is the most that we've seen a WWE PLE have since WrestleMania. And the fact that they did this segment with Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins before Crown Jewel, where Bronson Reed destroyed Seth Rollins, and they were talking about Seth Rollins being in the hospital, makes me kind of wonder whether this match is going to get pulled last minute for whatever reason, storyline reasons, of course, being that Seth Rollins is too injured. But I don't know. I can't see them doing that, but it is in the back of my head. That being said, I'm incredibly invested in this feud. This is maybe my favorite feud going into Crown Jewel. It's just so organic and it's just so simple in terms of like why Guy A is fighting Guy B. So simple. I love it. So I hope it doesn't get pulled, but part of me is thinking that it might. This is one of those matches we're going to look back on in 10 years and think, damn, we really got this on free TV. It's funny because I see that a lot about matches that got announced like during the Ruthless Aggression era and just like random episode of Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. And I do genuinely love and appreciate your optimism for this match potentially being one of those that we talk about in such high regard, because it means that you believe in the vision of Ludwig Kaiser becoming a top heel in the WWE, because I think that he's got pretty much every tool to be able to do that. And I think you might be onto something here. I feel like this could be one of those matches that we look back on and say, we got this shit for free. Just announced, I think SAMI will be involved in this match and it will set up a War Games match. Good time ahead of us. Okay, so now that Sami Zayn is involved in this story arc, I feel like this match makes a little bit more sense to happen in Saudi Arabia, because a Roman Reigns match will just traditionally close the show. So I do expect this match to close the show. And I kind of figured, okay, if you're going to have this close the show, does The Rock come back here? But I'm now thinking, since it's in front of a Saudi audience that loves Sami Zayn, maybe the end of this will be Sami Zayn rushing out to help the original Bloodline and reunite the proper band together with the Usos, the Tribal Chief, and the Honorary Us. That would get a huge pop, and the people in Saudi Arabia would probably go bananas for it. Santi, it's time. The seeds are being planted. Balor didn't come out to help in the Judgment Day. We're getting our sweet Prince Balor back. Oh, sweet young summer child. They've been planting seeds for 7 years and it's not grown into anything. And at this point, I'm just more pessimistic than I could possibly be optimistic with regards to Finn Balor, unfortunately. So I hope you're right, but like, I've got absolutely zero hopes for this. Santi, it's been 23 days since I've seen him. I'm losing my sanity. I do miss Drew McIntyre. I miss CM Punk as well. I miss both of these guys just being part of Monday Night Raw and being the best thing of Monday Night Raw. I am curious, and I maybe want to pose the question to you, where do you fit Drew McIntyre after Crown Jewel? Or maybe he doesn't come back for even longer than that. If he does come back after Crown Jewel, what's the play for him? Is it a World Heavyweight Championship opportunity? Is it feuding with Wade Barrett? Is it feuding with Cena? If Cena were to come back after Crown Jewel, there's options, but there's nothing that looks super concrete for Drew McIntyre moving forward for the next couple of months. Ivy Nile looked unstoppable after tonight by beating Zelina Vega. They can make Ivy the savior of the women's division and get a big championship push down the line. She's good. Okay, you and I are definitely not quite as over on Ivy Nile. I'm over on Ivy, but I don't see her as the savior of the women's division as you're calling her here. Maybe down the line I could see a world championship opportunity for Ivy Nile, maybe even winning the darn thing. But I don't see see her as a savior of the women's division, perhaps like you do. This is where I really think that a women's mid-card championship would play really well, because Ivy Nile would be a serious threat and contender to be one of those inaugural mid-card champions on Monday Night Raw. Dominik Mysterio's push has begun. I don't think people realize how massive it is for him to pin this Damian Priest. That is a main event Damian Priest, former world champion Damian Priest, Money in the Bank Damian Priest, and Dominik Mysterio beat that man clean without the help of anybody. If that doesn't tell you that this man is a future world champion, I don't know what show you're watching, because Dominik Mysterio stocks are through the roof. And if you stick with Dominik Mysterio, fellas, have diamond hands, I promise you that it will pay dividends. Get on the Dominik Mysterio train right now, because it's about to leave with or without you. It's his time. Dominik Mysterio is world heavyweight champion. I'm not kidding. Works. If he is the one that dethrones Gunther, it would be, and I'm not kidding, the funniest thing WWE could do. WWE has the opportunity to do something hilarious. A guy like Gunther, this guy that is unstoppable, this guy that is just this in-ring fighting machine, losing to a slimy Dominik Mysterio would be awesome. And it would be the first time in a long time that we would have a world champion that people are actively rooting against, that people actually want to see lose. We haven't seen that in a really long time. I think that there is a lot of value in a world champion Dominik Mysterio, and I'm not even memeing about that. I weirdly see a scenario where Goldberg costs Gunther the World Heavyweight Championship and allows Dominik Mysterio to pick up the victory, and for him to be a sly heel weaselly champion that somehow just keeps getting away with it because of all of his friends from the Judgment Day helping him pick up victories, just like he did when he was the North American champion. To me, this is money. They are calling this victory a fluke. When will they understand this glorious king will carry the company forward? He is leading the new era. No, I'm not cherry picking just the hot takes that are positive regarding Dominik Mysterio. This is what everybody is thinking. That's why I'm telling you, if you are watching this video and you're not on the Dominik Mysterio bandwagon, you are doing yourself a disservice. This man is the future of the WWE. People are like, oh, but Femi, Braun Breaker. Nah, it is this man right here, Dirty Dominik Mysterio. All right, folks, thanks so much for submitting in your hot takes for this week. I'm done. Okay, bye. Get out of here.